Our homeroom teacher said anyone who picks Summoner is an idiot. I said only someone with a screw loose would pick Summoner. Then the system threatened me with self-destruction to force me to choose Summoner, and even compensated me with a god-tier talent. I chose it, and became the only S rank in the entire province this year. Those people who were getting ready to mock me swallowed their words before they could say them, and immediately started calling me Brother Yu. That's reality, both ironic and satisfying. My name is Zheng Yu, and today is the big day of my class transfer. To be honest, I'm pretty unsure about it. It's been 18 years since I transmigrated to this world, and I know all too well what today's choice means. This isn't just about choosing a class. It's about choosing how I'll live the rest of my life. Old Zhao, our homeroom teacher, stood at the podium, and once again brought out the same speech he'd repeated who knows how many times. Let me remind you one more time. Once you choose a class, you can't change it again. Your class doesn't just determine how far you can go, it also directly determines your future standard of living. Old Zhao's tone was much heavier than usual. Some classes are strong early on, while others come into their own later. But the one that suits you best is Warrior. It doesn't require a lot of money, doesn't need exceptionally high talent, has combat power right from the early stage, and you can start working once you reach level 10. He paused, his gaze sweeping over us students with average talent. In short, if you can class into Warrior, then choose Warrior honestly and obediently. If your family can fork out 10 million in one go for equipment, another 10 million for spells, and another 10 million to hire muscle, then pretend I said nothing and just go the pay-to-win route. If you can't even class into Warrior and your family doesn't have money, then what should you choose? The whole class answered in unison, support classes. Right. Choose support. Old Zhao tapped the desk. Don't aim too high. Druids, Rangers, Monks, Shadowers, those classes were never meant for people like us. I'm not saying those classes are weak, but we need to know our own limits. I sat in the corner, listening to all this, and inwardly I agreed. It's true that my talent rating ranked first in the grade, but that was at number 1 high school. In the whole of Jiangshui City, I'd only be considered average. Strength 3.7, Intelligence 4.7, Constitution 4.0, Spirit 3.8, and Agility only 1.9. My deskmate Tao Qian leaned over and asked what I planned to choose. I shrugged and said Warrior. He looked at my 4.7 intelligence rating with a face full of regret and said it was such a waste. A waste of what? Employment matters more than anything. Even if I chose Mage, I wouldn't have the money to buy equipment or skills, so I might as well honestly become a Warrior. Tao Qian, on the other hand, was pretty bold. He said he wanted to choose Monk and gamble on his talent. Maybe he'd get an A rank and soar straight to the top. Someone nearby sneered. Gamble on an A rank? You might as well gamble on a hidden class. Last year, there were only 30 A ranks in the entire Jiangnan province. Tao Qian refused to back down. Why can't I be one of those 30? I couldn't be bothered to join in such a meaningless argument. So I handed him the potential test sheet. As Tao Qian read it, he suddenly pointed to the line at the very bottom. According to the temple's assessment, the class most compatible with you is Summoner. Summoner? Tao Qian's voice changed. No way, right? Your stats may not be top tier, but they're definitely not bad. How could they recommend Summoner for you? I smiled indifferently and said that even the temple makes mistakes sometimes. Anyway, even if you beat me to death, I still wouldn't choose Summoner, a classic bottom-tier class. Anyone who picks it gets scammed. Warrior has always been strong. Mage becomes a true god in the late game, and even priests and paladins have people fighting to team up with them. But what about Summoner? It's useless in the early, mid, and late stages alike. Costs even more money than Mage, and still can't beat a paladin in a fight. Its only advantage, swarm tactics, gets utterly crushed by necromancers. Spend the most money to train the most useless class. No one wants you in a party, and you can't even solo properly. Only someone with something wrong with their head would choose Summoner, I said seriously. Tao Qian chimed in from the side. Exactly. Only idiots choose Summoner. No sooner had I finished speaking than a mechanical voice suddenly exploded in my head. Detected that the host harbors serious prejudice and misunderstanding toward the Summoner class. Activating the Summoner Divine Tier talent ahead of schedule. Hex Augment Runes. I froze on the spot. Hex talent. Every 5 levels, randomly choose 2 Hex Augment Runes. The rune effects only apply to summons. This talent serves only the Summoner class. If the host does not choose the Summoner class, the system will self-destruct. Please treat this seriously and do not take it as a joke. Good grief. The good news is, the system has finally arrived. The bad news is, it seems I just cursed the system and myself together. Only someone with something wrong in their head would choose Summoner. That's what I said with my own mouth. Well, this is great. I really went hard cursing myself. The system is a summoner system. If I don't choose summoner, not only will I miss out on the divine tier talent, the system will also self-destruct. These days, even systems have such a bad temper, threatening the host with self-destruction. But it doesn't matter now. A divine tier talent. What kind of concept is that? The highest talent in this world is SSS tier, and there is only one in the entire world. Nen Muyun, the war god of Jojo. Ranked first on the level ranking, combat power ranking, and monster kill ranking. Below that are SS tier, S tier, and A tier. A tier already counts as genius, and an S tier would have an entire province concentrating resources to train them. But a divine tier talent, I'd never even heard of one. I'm extremely familiar with Hex runes. You get 2 augment runes every 5 levels. Based on the current highest level of 71, you can choose group-wide enhancements at least 30 times, equivalent to stacking 30 talents. Even if a single rune isn't as good as an SSS tier talent, with 30 stacked together, divine tier is beyond dispute. For this alone, let alone the summoner being a bottom tier class, even if it were a cesspit, I'd jump in. That afternoon, the school bus took us to the Jiangshui City Temple branch. After lining up for more than an hour, it was finally our class's turn. The first to go up was Zheng Ao, who successfully advanced to warrior and happily went to the second-floor warrior guild to report in. Next, senior year class 3 of Jiangshui number 1 high school, number 01877, Zheng Yu. I took a deep breath and walked onto the class advancement platform. Our homeroom teacher and the entire class were staring at me. They all knew my test data and were curious about what I would choose. Holy light shone down from the ceiling, warmly enveloping my whole body. A staff member's voice sounded by my ear. According to the holy light's feedback, the first class most suitable for you is summoner. There is no second recommended class. The staff member was clearly stunned for a moment. He had seen my test data and knew that aside from agility-type classes, I could advance to anything else, yet the temple had given only one recommendation, and it was actually summoner. According to the data feedback, you could actually also become a mage, warrior, priest, or paladin, the staff member reminded me. I choose summoner. Why you? What did you say? He thought he had misheard. I repeated it again, summoner. The staff member unusually tried to persuade me to think it over carefully. I knew he meant well. There were fewer people choosing the summoner class than there were people with S-tier talent. And up to now this year, there hadn't been a single one. But I merely smiled and said that since the temple only recommended summoner to me, that meant I really was the most suited to this class. But in truth, it wasn't the temple I trusted, it was the system. A divine tier talent. Only a fool wouldn't choose it. On the class advancement interface before my eyes, I firmly chose summoner. You have advanced to the summoner class. Divine tier talent activated. Hex Augment runes. Drawing Hex Augment runes. Congratulations. You have drawn your first rune, Prismatic tier Demon Contract. Congratulations. You have drawn your second rune, Silver tier Butler's Heart. Demon Contract. I almost cried out loud. The strongest early game Hex rune, bar none. Demon Contract. Consume maximum HP to gain talent points. Talent points apply only to summons. The consumed HP is permanently reduced and cannot be restored. Heart of the Steward. Your team is treated as if it additionally has one steward and gains a steward emblem. Trading health for talent points is like walking a tightrope, but it's incredibly addictive. The fundamental reason summoner is considered bottom tier is that summons have talent levels that are far too low, and the cost of developing them is enormous. Now that I have Demon Contract, I can ensure that every single summoned beast has maxed out talent. I was still feeling excited when Asai pulled me back to reality. The staff member and my homeroom teacher were both looking at me the way one looks at a wayward youth. My homeroom teacher's face was full of disappointment, saying that among all the exceptionally talented students he had met, not a single one was as extreme as me. Summoners don't even have their own guild, get no state subsidies, and don't even know how to level up. Were I supposed to rely on summoned goblins to fight monsters? I knew he was genuinely worried about me, so I opened my status panel and highlighted the talent section. S rank. The staff member's voice jumped up an octave instantly. My homeroom teacher stared blankly at the line Demon Contract, S rank, on the status panel, taking a long while to process it. My S rank talent is real, right? I asked. The staff member nodded excitedly. Of course it's real. How could anything on the status panel be fake? I can enjoy the province's welfare resources, right? Absolutely. Up to this point this year, not a single class holder with an S rank talent has appeared. You are the first. I turned to my homeroom teacher and said that at first I had actually wanted to follow his advice and choose warrior. But I kept having a gut feeling that I would regret it if I didn't choose summoner. The temple only recommended summoner to me, so I decided to take the gamble. And I won. Compared with warrior plus an ordinary talent, I'd rather choose the bottom-tier summoner with an S-rank talent. My homeroom teacher finally nodded. Although there was still some worry in his eyes, he ultimately said nothing more. After the news spread, my classmates' reactions were even more thrilling than a roller coaster. Some people had originally been ready to mock me for having something wrong with my brain, but the words S-rank talent forcibly shoved all that back down their throats. Each of their expressions was extremely complicated. They hate to see a brother suffer, but they hate even more to see a brother drive a Range Rover. Someone muttered sourly, S-rank talent, that's fucking outrageous. What a pity though, he's a summoner. Tao Qian immediately snapped back. A pity again? When he chose warrior before, you said it was a pity. Now it's an S-rank talent, and you're still saying it's a pity. Why don't you pity yourself instead? That person stubbornly replied. What I mean is, putting an S-rank talent on a summoner is a complete waste. It'd be better off given to me. Tao Qian rolled his eyes. Once someone starts saying stupid crap like it'd be better off given to me, their brain has already been burned senseless by jealousy, so there was no point arguing anymore. The best part was when I came back from the registration desk. Those few people who had been talking bad about me behind my back just now, the moment they saw me, sprang to their feet and swarmed around me with ingratiating smiles all over their faces. Class monitor, with the relationship we've got, you've got to look out for me in the future. S-rank talent. When you make it big, don't forget us brothers. I'm treating tonight to celebrate brother you awakening an S-rank talent. Everyone come to my dad's restaurant. I'll have him bring out the best Mao Dai. Tao Qian stood to the side, dumbfounded. These people were just saying a moment ago that summoners were worse than dogs, and now they were shamelessly begging for protection. They changed faces faster than flipping a page. But to be honest, I wasn't surprised. This is reality. No matter how much they hate it deep down, they won't show it to your face. After all, an S-rank talent is right there. They're not afraid that I won't grow strong. They're afraid that I really will become powerful. By then, if they wanted to suck up to me again, they wouldn't get the chance. Tao Qian ultimately still changed class to monk, and he gambled his way into a B-rank talent. Although it was an A-rank, Tao Qian still seemed quite satisfied. After Tao Qian finished changing class, Zheng Yu did not continue staying at the temple and went home early. Because summoners have no guild, among the tens of millions of class changers across Jiuzhou, there aren't even 100 summoners in total. And among those 100 summoners, there's a 98% chance they're people who never intended to pursue the path of a professional in the first place. How could there possibly be a guild? Without a guild, there are no seniors or veteran professionals to guide the way. Everything has to be figured out on your own. Zheng Yu wasn't interested in how other people's job changes turned out. He only waited for Tao Qian alone, because he could tell the difference between a true brother and a fake friend. Back home, Zheng Yu stepped around the scattered piles of trash and entered his room. This was a relief apartment allocated by the state to poor households. When he transmigrated into this body, the parents of the Zheng Yu who shared his name had long since disappeared without a trace. Zheng Yu was left alone and raised by his grandfather. 2 years ago, his grandfather died of illness, and this relief apartment the state had assigned to his grandfather had now become Zheng Yu's only place to live. He entered the room. Zheng Yu, who had always loved cleanliness, had kept the room very tidy. Although it was small, it was still fairly cozy. He hadn't actually spent that much time with this world's grandfather either. Burying his grandfather could be considered giving this body some closure. After that came living on his own, which wasn't much different from his previous life. So Zheng Yu didn't really feel any discomfort after transmigrating. After eating something simple, Zheng Yu started on the important business. He first brought up his status panel. Name, Zheng Yu. Title, None. Class, Summoner level, 1, 100 experience needed until the next level up. Health, 1100 mana, 110 strength, 11 intelligence, 13 agility, 11 remaining free attribute points, 5 skills. Contract magic array, summon beast berserk, summon beast space. No summon beasts contracted, current contract limit. 1. Talents, demon contract, heart of the butler equipment. None what appeared on the talent list was not hex enhancement runes, but the newly drawn prismatic grade. Demon contract and silver grade heart of the butler. The S-grade talent the staff and homeroom teacher had seen earlier was what demon contract displayed as. However, Zheng Yu felt that demon contract was far more than just an S-grade talent. Demon contract could consume his maximum health in exchange for a summoned beast talent. But first he needed to have a summoned beast. Zheng Yu looked at his empty summoned beast space. He found a dust-covered book. Starting from zero, Mastering the Summoner Class, textbook. A textbook that had been abandoned for a long time and hadn't even been opened to a single page. Previously, Zheng Yu had never even considered that he would class change into a summoner, so he had never once looked at this book. As for how summoners contract summoned beasts, how they develop, and related matters, he knew absolutely nothing. So it really was starting from zero. Zheng Yu made a snarky comment. Opening the first page of the textbook, he saw a sentence. Please give up the summoner class. A blunt warning right from the start. If you really had no choice and class changed into a summoner, then get ready for the right time to enter a factory. Because this book can't give you much help. Zheng Yu. Good grief. This is a textbook? Is it really this blunt? Zheng Yu patiently kept reading, and in almost less than 10 minutes, he had finished the more than 100-page textbook. Because there really wasn't much content. Aside from the first few pages teaching summoners how to contract summoned beasts, the rest was all illustrations. The author of this book had collected many pictures and pieces of information about summoned beasts, then wrote some comments that were practically nonsense, barely cobbling together a book. At the very end of the textbook, Zheng Yu saw that the author had written out his vision for summoners. The relationship between a summoner and summoned beasts is not like the relationship between other professionals and their skills, but rather one of growing together. Summoned beasts are similar to living creatures sealed within skills. Through contracts, they go through the process of helping you fight and growing together with you. A summoned beast's attack power and skill damage values are all directly related to the summoner, so it can be said that the summoner's talent limits the growth of the summoned beast. But on the other hand, it also means that if the summoner's talent is high, it is possible to train the summoned beast to have the ability to fight on par with other classes. Of course, this is only my personal fantasy. To all summoners and young people who are about to change class to summoner, don't hold on to this fantasy. If you have that kind of talent, why not choose another class that grows faster? Aren't warriors and mages better? In summary, give up early. Get treatment early, enter the factory early, make money early, and avoid 40 years of detours. Author, Zheng Yu. Even a book like this can be chosen as a textbook, which shows how unwelcome summoners are. But in fact, there really isn't much to teach. Unlike warriors, who need to choose whether their future path is the blood energy build or the berserker build, whether to balance offense and defense or focus mainly on damage output. Each build requires careful skill selection. How to allocate skill points, how to allocate attribute points, what equipment to choose, and which abyss area to farm all need to be chosen carefully. Choose even one thing wrong, and you'll take a detour. That's why textbooks and professional courses exist. First, I need to buy a summoning beast skill book that can be learned at level 0. Zheng Yu turned on the computer. He opened the temple website built by the Department of Justice. On the homepage, there was a store section. Equipment, skill books, various medicines, and other items dropped from the abyss were all sold here. Summoned beast skill books. Zheng Yu searched for the keyword. Several hundred items for sale popped up. Although there were only a few summoner players, people still sold summoned beast skill books online, and quite a lot of them. Mainly because keeping them was useless, and listing them on the website didn't require a handling fee. Just wait for a sucker. After looking for a long time, Zheng Yu found only one summoned beast skill book that could be learned at level 0. Summon Goblin skill book can be learned at level 0, one-time item. After learning it, the skill book disappears. Learnable by summoner class users, grants 1 trainable goblin. Price, 500 yuan, cheap as hell. Zheng Yu dared to say that this was the cheapest item in the entire store. Even a potion that restores 200 HP cost 1,000 yuan per bottle. Zheng Yu smiled and said self-mockingly, "This is probably the summoner's only advantage. Things are cheap. Because they can't be sold, no one buys them. So they're cheap." Zheng Yu saw the tradable skills for the warrior class. And even a level 0 learnable Furious / cost 12,000 RMB. A summoner's skill book wasn't even worth more than a fraction of that. Since there was only one level 0 learnable summoned beast skill book in the store, it saved him the trouble of choosing. A goblin it is then, it's better than nothing. Now it just depends on whether the demonic contract is any good. Zheng Yu bought the skill book. It was transmitted directly into his personal inventory through the temple's holy light, which was very convenient. He set up the contract magic array in advance. The contract magic array is a summoner's basic innate skill. Using the skill book, a green-skinned goblin appeared in the center of the magic array. Unlike other classes, when other classes learn from skill books they gain skills, whereas a summoner's skill book summons a creature. Just as that textbook said, summoned beasts are lives sealed within skills. Contract. As Zheng Yu's voice rang out, the contract magic array lit up. The goblin's initially bewildered eyes gradually became clear, and when it looked at Zheng Yu, it felt a kind of closeness. Congratulations, you have successfully signed a contract with Summoned Beast Goblin. The goblin will be summoned in the form of a skill and will improve as your level increases. Summoned beasts can equip gear. After a summoned beast dies, there is a chance for the equipment to drop. Summoned beasts do not truly die. After death, they will wait for revival in the summoner's space. After successfully signing the contract, the goblin's attributes popped up before Zheng Yu's eyes. Summoned Beast Goblin Level 1 increases with the summoner's level, HP 400 attack power 32.5, 13 2.5 Talent Tier 0, 1 talent point away from upgrading. Plus, skill lot. Leaping Hammer Strike LV1 leaps high into the air and quickly delivers a hammer blow to the enemy, dealing 162.5, 5 Hesu Xinghao. Shishu a Xinghao 32.5 damage, with a 15% chance to stun the target. Skill 2. Stone Throw LV1 accurately throws a stone, dealing 130, for by 32.5 damage. Summoned Beast Equipment. Zheng Yu looked at the goblin's attributes and was speechless for a moment. No wonder summoners have such a hard time leveling up. With a goblin this week, no team really wants one. Just this 400 HP alone already lags far behind other classes. The goblin's attack power and skill damage are tied to his own intelligence, scaling proportionally by coefficients. But the key is, these coefficients are way too low. A single skill can only deal a little over 100 damage. Although the summoned beast is only level 1 right now and will improve as it levels up, the problem is that no one is willing to team up with a summoner, so summoners have to clear the abyss on their own. With these stats, it can't even beat minor monsters. More importantly, the summoner himself has basically no combat power and has to rely entirely on summoned beasts. The goblin gave no sense of security at all. Hopefully the demon contract can come through. Zheng Yu pinned his hopes on the demon contract. He opened the demon contract talent. A prompt popped up: for every 10 points of maximum HP sacrificed, gain 1 talent point. Zheng Yu thought for a moment. As a test, he first sacrificed 600 points of maximum HP. He obtained 60 talent points. Zheng Yu did not sacrifice everything. After all, if a summoned beast dies, it can be revived, but if he dies, he is truly dead. He still had to keep some HP to ensure his own margin for error. Zheng Yu saw a plus sign appear behind the goblin's talent entry. He clicked the plus sign. Ding. Goblin, Tier 0, Talent Evolution Goblin Warrior, Tier 1. The goblin still inside the contract formation suddenly began to swell. Its originally short body had now grown to about 1.7, but because its spine was bent, it looked much shorter than Zheng Yu. But its muscles were very obvious. The entire goblin's presence had improved a lot. It was no longer dressed in coarse linen rags, but had changed into reflective armor. Its stats were also refreshed immediately. Summoned Beast, Goblin Warrior Level 1, increases with the summoner's level, HP 800 attack power, 39, 13 Skill 3, Warrior's Smash LV1. The Goblin Warrior charges up an attack on the target, with damage increasing based on the charge time, dealing 273 to 468, 7 39, 12 Shisu, Xinghao 39, Ulin Gongji damage. Summoned Beast Equipment, none not bad. Zheng Yu looked at the refreshed Goblin Warrior data and nodded in satisfaction. As the talent improved, its overall stats also increased, and it even gained an additional warrior-type skill. Its HP rose to 800. Both the Hammer Strike skill and the Smash skill could deal over 200 damage, although it was still not enough to solo the Abyss. But this had only consumed 1 talent point. Zheng Yu still had 59 talent points and 500 maximum HP left in hand. It could still be improved. Zheng Yu clicked the talent plus sign 10 times in a row. Improved again. Ding. Goblin Warrior, Tier 1, Talent Evolution Elite, Goblin Warrior, Tier 2. HP 8001500. Attack Power, 3952, 13 4 Shisu. 50 talent points remaining until advancement. Not bad, not bad. The elite Goblin Warrior's HP had already exceeded Zheng Yu's own HP. Its attack multiplier had also reached 4. Still not enough. If you want to solo a dungeon at level 1, then aside from a few hidden classes, all other classes have to form a party. Because the boss in a level 1 abyss can have over 10,000 HP, it's very hard to kill it in seconds. Only through team coordination can they take down the abyss boss. This is why it is difficult for class users to level up. The abyss called a dungeon is far too difficult. The party composition requirements are extremely high. Under normal circumstances, no one would ever party with a summoner. If Zheng Yu wanted to level up, soloing was his only path. There were 49 talent points left. To reach tier 3, he needed 50 points. Zheng Yu didn't hesitate much and directly spent another 10 HP to replenish his talent points to 50. Just 10 HP, after all. Zheng Yu currently had 490 HP remaining. He put all 50 talent points into the Goblin Ding. Elite, Goblin Warrior. Tier 2, Talent Evolution Goblin Wolf Rider. Tier 3, Roar. A low growl came from the contract formation. A giant wolf of exaggerated size appeared within the contract magic circle, and the elite Goblin Warrior sat astride the giant wolf, its presence far surpassing before. HP 15003000. Attack Power 5265. 13. Zheng 5. Shisu. 3000 HP. A 5.0 attack multiplier. Not bad. Zheng Yu was fairly satisfied. Although it was still a bit short of killing the boss, it was enough to deal with the small monsters in a level 1 abyss. After leveling up, the stats would be even higher. And Zheng Yu discovered that the Goblin Wolf Rider had gained another new skill. Skill 4. Wolf Rider Charge. LV1. The Goblin Wolf Rider launches a charge, charging and striking the target, dealing 1640, 65, Goblin Attack Power * 25, multiplier, points of damage. Hiss, 1600 damage. In the newbie zone, that was no small number. And this was under the condition that Zheng Yu had no equipment equipped, and the Goblin had no equipment equipped either. A summoner's equipment set is the same as a mage's. Mages, as everyone knows, are a money-burning class. Summoners, a lesser-known fact, are even more money-burning than mages. They use the same set of equipment and spend the same money, yet can't deal a mage's damage. Looking at the summoner equipment in the shop, Zheng Yu muttered, "There's one more reason summoners are abandoned." In the entire temple mall, there wasn't even a summoner section. Zheng Yu could only browse the mage equipment section. In the end, he chose a novice staff priced at 6,000 yuan. Equipment name. Novice staff equipment level. Level 1 equipment attributes. Intelligence +10, Strength +2, Mana +50 equipment origin. Level 1 abyss equipment durability. 50/50. Although Zheng Yu felt that spending 6,000 yuan on a novice staff that only gave 8 intelligence and no other effects whatsoever was not worth it, he still had to buy it. Because unlike a real game, newly class-changed class users do not receive a beginner gift pack. Everything has to be bought by themselves. This was already not bad. At least they didn't need to pioneer from scratch. In the history class Zheng Yu studied, it was once mentioned that the first batch of human class users entered the abyss empty-handed. Countless people died. Pioneering new ground was even more deadly, with large numbers dying at once. Nowadays, being able to easily find abyss guides and buy equipment suitable for your level is all the result of the efforts of those who came before. This is why Nin Muyun, number 1 on the rankings, is holding back his level. He was currently in the middle of pioneering level 70. Humanity had never before set foot in a level 70 abyss dungeon. Zheng Yu searched again for summoned beast equipment. He actually managed to find someone selling summoner equipment. Summoner equipment. Sharp Blade Fong equipment level. Level 1 equipment stats. HP +300, attack power +5 price. 500 yuanum. That's it. Simple stats. Cheap price. Equip the beginner staff and give the Blade Fong to the Goblin Wolf Rider. The overall stats rise again. But that's not all. Because Zheng Yu still has one final way to improve. Silver tier Hex Augment Rune. Heart of the Steward. Heart of the Steward. Your team is treated as if it additionally has one steward and gains a steward emblem. Emblems can add traits to units. Zheng Yu didn't expect that the modified emblem could also add traits to summons. If multiple summons can form a high trait lineup, that would also be an extremely strong bonus. I wonder whether luck-based traits like Fortune and Pirate are included. Maybe it's worth taking a gamble. Zheng Yu opens Heart of the Emblem. He takes out a Steward emblem. Steward trait, 2/4/6/8. Steward summons will be promoted to Steward VIPs, evolving more powerful abilities. Current 2 Steward trait activated. 2. Choose one summon to evolve into a VIP Steward. All Stewards gain 20% HP and 20% attack power. VIP stewards will gain special skill enhancements. Zheng, VIP steward? Special skill enhancements? Zheng was instantly interested. VIP, he understood. Steward, he also understood. But a VIP steward goblin. That really made him curious. Your Goblin Wolf Rider has equipped the Steward emblem. Current 2 Steward trait activated. You may choose for the Goblin Wolf Rider to evolve into a VIP Steward. Will you evolve it? Yes. Refuse? Impossible. Ding. Your Goblin Wolf Rider has evolved into VIP Steward class Goblin Wolf Rider. Skill 4. Wolf Rider Charge Enhanced. Wolf Rider Charge. A brilliant beam of light shone onto the Goblin Wolf Rider. Then, the elite goblin warrior riding atop the wolf underwent an enormous change in temperament, like some upper-class noble goblin. Well, although its bearing was noble, it was still a goblin. Ugly, but its fur was groomed exceptionally clean. Blue-faced with protruding fangs, yet its gaze was very gentlemanly, full of noble bearing. In short, it was extremely incongruous. A goblin noble? Hard to imagine, yet it truly appeared right before Zheng. He noticed that even the giant wolf had a flowing coat of fur, like a poodle that had just come out of the pet salon after grooming. Zheng couldn't bear to look directly. As long as it got stronger, that was fine. The noble goblin was hard on the eyes, but the stats gained from the evolution made Zheng's eyes light up. Summon VIP Steward Class Goblin Wolf Rider Level 1. Increases with the summoner's level. HP 3,900, 3,000, Jichu Shilang, plus 600, 20 Dibon Hisheng Shilang, plus 300, Ab Sushing Shilang. Attack power 120, 23, Finghao 5.0 Isu, plus 5, Ya Sushing, plus 23 asterisk 0.2, 20 Abon Sing. Talent, Tier 3, 100 talent points away from upgrading. Plus, Skill I. Leaping Hammer Strike LV1 leaps high into the air and quickly delivers a hammer strike to the enemy, dealing 600, 5, Asuvingao, 120, damage, with a 15% chance to stun the target. Skill 2. Archery Mastery LV1 accurately fires an arrow, dealing 600, 5 by 120, damage. Skill 3. Warrior's Mighty Strike LV1 The Goblin Warrior will charge up and attack on the target, with the damage increasing according to the charge-up time, dealing 840, 1440, 7 120, 12 120 damage. Skill 4. Enhanced Wolf Cavalry Charge LV1 The Goblin Wolf Cavalry launches a charge, charging and striking multiple 3 targets, dealing 3,120 Dingingongjali, Xinghao 25, Shisu points of damage. The Summoned Beast Equipment. Sharp Fangs. Now this is what you call a Summoned Beast. Zheng looked at the attribute panel and couldn't help but say, 3,900 HP, far higher than the tank class Paladin by who knows how much. The most terrifying thing should be the skills enhanced by the VIP Butler. 3,000 damage to 3 targets. You should know that before Zheng sacrificed his HP, he only had 1,100 HP. Who could withstand this charge? And Zheng noticed that the original skill of Throw Stone had turned into Archery Mastery, which made sense too. After all, now that it was a VIP Butler and already at the Elite Warrior level, still attacking by throwing stones would be a bit beneath its status. It was perfectly reasonable for an Elite Goblin Warrior to be proficient in archery, truly worthy of a God-tier talent, truly worthy of a demon contract. Although his own maximum HP had dropped to 490 and could never recover, getting such a powerful summoned beast in exchange was worth it. It was time to take a trip into the Abyss, South District of Jiangshui City. Several decades ago, this was originally a bustling street. Now it is heavily guarded by the military and has been turned into an Abyss instance for novice class holders to level up in. Although it was already midnight, the place was still brightly lit and packed with people. Cold Street Abyss. Level 1 Abyss. The Abyss's level matches the class holder's level. It was called a Level 1 Abyss, but actually it was a Level 1 to 10 Abyss. Class holders below Level 10 could all enter. After surpassing Level 10, entering the Cold Street Abyss would result in backlash, and they would be hunted down by the Administrator Butcher wandering the Abyss. Although no one knew which powerful race was operating the Abyss behind the scenes, as long as they could level up, these low-level class holders didn't care about such questions. Or rather, it wasn't something they could concern themselves with. What conspiracies, what bigger picture issues, what interspecies wars? Before level 50, They simply had no qualification to come into contact with any of it. There was only one thing they needed to do: level up. Looking for a party. Level 1 warrior. Comes with beginner shield, full set of 5 beginner equipment pieces, battle armor, shoulder guards, pants, boots, gloves. Carrying people through the simple cold spring abyss. I am a level 7 blood chi warrior, with 4 simple cold street abyss clear records. 2 spots available, 15,000 per run, non-negotiable. Speedrun cold street abyss. Need 1 warrior, level 3 or above, join fast. Self-reliant run. Simple abyss, current team setup. 3 level 1 warriors and 1 level 1 priest. Need 1 more warrior or paladin. Newbie ranger, looking to be carried. Level 10 berserker path warrior, carrying a normal difficulty cold street abyss run, 100,000 per run. Don't miss this chance. As soon as he entered the abyss hall, he heard all kinds of voices shouting for parties, looking for teammates, and power leveling services. The screen in the hall was also constantly scrolling with party recruitment information. Information displayed on the screen like this was paid 100 yuan each time. Not expensive, but not cheap either. Because it only scrolled once. If someone saw it, that was fate. If not, you'd have to pay again. Zheng looked around and found that they were all looking for warriors. Some teams even had 5 warriors grouped together. No support, no tank, no mage. Warriors were really clustering together. Zheng. Hearing someone call his name, Zheng turned his head and saw Tao Qian waving at him from the crowd. There were several familiar faces beside him, all classmates, around a dozen in total. Why are you only here now? We've been here for quite a while. Tao Qian and the others had basically come straight to the cold street abyss as soon as they left the temple, hardly wasting any time. Have you cleared it? Zheng asked. Tao Qian rolled his eyes. Cleared my ass. No one would team up with us. Zheng frowned. You've been here for several hours, and no one teamed up with you? Guofeng and Xu Xiaozhan did manage to find teams. After all, both of them are warriors, and both have B-grade talents, so they're in high demand. Xu Xiaozhan even bought a 100,000 yuan warrior beginner set, and got picked up by a team as soon as he arrived. The warrior beginner set has 7 pieces in total: a beginner warrior sword, beginner shield, beginner armor, beginner pauldrons, beginner pants, beginner boots, and beginner gloves. Originally, all 7 of these items were very cheap, but there are just too many warriors, and with such high demand, the prices were naturally driven way up. Then why don't you try forming a team and going in? Zheng asked curiously. After all, he felt that just waiting here without entering the abyss was simply a waste of time. Tao Qian said helplessly, the main thing is, we don't dare. You didn't see it just now. A team made up entirely of newbies went in, and guess what got teleported back out? A pile of mangled flesh. Scared the hell out of us. Tao Qian said with lingering fear on his face. Even though there are guides for the Cold Street dungeon, a guide is a guide and reality is reality. You still need someone experienced to lead you. But I just saw on the big screen a bunch of level 1 warriors recruiting teammates. They're just stubborn. If you're not afraid of dying, sure, you can play like that. But I changed class for a better life, not to die inside the abyss. So I'll wait a little longer. I refuse to believe a B-grade talented monk like me can't find a team. Zheng asked, how about? I take you? Tao Qian grinned. That's the line I've been waiting for. With your S-grade talent as a draw, we won't have to worry about finding teammates. Tao Qian could actually find a team himself too. In the early stages, monks are far more useful than mages and rangers, and with his B-grade talent, he could get on a team without even spending money. He was just waiting for Zheng. With Zheng around, the teammates would definitely be strong, and clearing it would be a sure thing. Tao Qian immediately said, then let's hurry up and post a notice. Find 2 strong teammates and speed clear it. But Zheng interrupted Tao Qian. I want to compete for the rankings. Tao Qian froze for a moment. Then he looked at Zheng seriously. Although he had always firmly supported Zheng, this was no joke. Are you confident? Zheng didn't waste words and said directly, absolutely. Then that's fine. Tao Qian gritted his teeth and decided to trust Zheng this once. Competing for the rankings meant competing for the level leaderboard. Every year on the day the newcomers change class, the temple opens a ranking list. Within a 1-month time limit, it tracks the newcomers' level progression rankings. After 1 month, the rankings are settled, rewards are issued by the temple, and the city and province also provide additional rewards. Zheng needs money right now, and he had already revealed himself as having an S-grade talent. What he needed was to be as high profile as possible and display his talent. Only then could he attract more attention. There was only one goal: more money. Zheng had also done his homework, learning in advance about the methods for competing for the rankings, the timing, and the dungeon rewards. If he wanted more experience and faster, the Abyss allowed up to 5 people. And the more people there were, the slightly stronger the monsters would be, with the experience increasing accordingly. So-called soloing didn't actually mean going in alone, but rather bringing 4 tag-along teammates. The captain would kill the Abyss monsters, while the remaining teammates were responsible for shouting 666. The captain would take the lion's share of the experience. Not only would the teammates not split the experience, they would even increase the Abyss's difficulty and give Zheng more experience. This can maximize experience gains. Of course, the premise is that your strength must be sufficient. Tao Qian chose to trust Zheng, and after Zheng made his decision, he immediately shouted to the people around him. An S-rank talent class holder is competing for the leaderboard, bringing 3 carries. Number 1 high-class holders preferred. Hurry up. Someone's competing for the leaderboard? Who is it? They said it's an S-rank talent. That awesome. Our Jiangshui City has a class holder with an S-rank talent? You didn't know? Our Jiangshui City's WeChat account already announced it. Zheng from number 1 high, an S-rank talent summoner. What? You heard right, it's a summoner. Uft. Then what the hell is he competing for the leaderboard for? I thought it was some big shot. Turns out he's just putting on airs. A summoner? In this day and age, there are really still people choosing summoner? No. Even if he's a summoner, he has an S-rank talent. Why are you all only looking at the summoner class? Let me put it this way. If Zheng wants to form a team, then I'll go over and cling to him right away, because even if he's a summoner, he has an S-rank talent, so his strength definitely won't be weak. But what he wants is to compete for the leaderboard. Do you even understand what competing for the leaderboard means? It means bringing 4 carries, taking the lion's share of the experience himself, and soloing a level 1 Abyss by himself. If he were a warrior, I'd start sucking up to him immediately, but he's a summoner, so I don't think he has that kind of strength. To put it bluntly, he simply doesn't have the strength to compete for the leaderboard, and he might even, because of his own arrogance, get himself and the other 4 carries killed. What you said makes sense. Sigh, I got excited for nothing. I thought I'd be able to hitch a cheap ride. A lot of people were paying attention, but no one came. They were all watching and waiting. Most of them didn't think highly of Zheng. Damn, this bunch is blind. Seeing that it had no effect, Tao Qian looked toward his classmates. They quietly took a step back. Zheng, Tao Qian. They hadn't expected the damage from taking half a step back to be so great. Tao Qian said angrily, "Forget it. I won't count on these cowards anymore. I'll post a screen message and see if there are any warriors." Zheng couldn't really say anything either. They were already using the word warriors. Obviously, before he showed his strength, following him into the Abyss really did take some courage. Screen message sent. An S-rank talent class holder is competing for the leaderboard, bringing 3 carries. Number 1 high class holders preferred. Hurry up. Still the same line. The effect was obvious. A whole bunch of people immediately sent private messages to ask about the details and the price. But after seeing the class of the team leader, Zheng, they immediately stopped talking. One assassin class holder, however, privately messaged Zheng. Kuing, assassin, are you really an S-rank talent? Zheng, summoner 1 Kuing. Assassin, then can it be a bit cheaper? I'm really out of money. Is 5,000 okay? Zheng turned to ask Tao Qian, what's the market price for bringing hangers on through a level 1 Abyss? 15,000. Even though they're just carries, the experience they get isn't any less, so the price doesn't change. Zheng nodded, then sent a message to this assassin. Zheng, summoner sure, just apply. The price didn't really matter. After all, no one really dared team up with him. Because after entering the Abyss, unless you clear it, you can't leave. Once something goes wrong, it's death. Zheng didn't want to waste any more time waiting. Kuing, assassin, thank you so much. Immediately afterward, an assassin joined the team. Kuing, assassin, big shot. I see there's still room. I have a friend too. Can she come in as well? Zheng, summoner sure. Kuing, assassin, smile.jpg. Thank you. I'll pull her in right now. Zheng, summoner 1 facing Zheng's concise and aloof replies. There was no displeasure on Ku Ying's little face. Instead, she was quite happy to have found such a cheap ride. When Ren Qingyu, who was watching the chat log from the side, complained, "This guy? Not talking. Pretending to be an expert. Huh? No. Xiaoying, are you really planning to join this team? Isn't it too dangerous? So many people don't dare join this team." Kuing said nothing. She directly opened her mobile banking app and showed the pitiful balance. "This is all the money I have left. Why don't you think of something?" The two of them had been trying to form a party here for a whole day. Basically, no one was willing to party with assassins. Unless they were paid. What's more, they were 2 assassins. For a simple dungeon, carrying one person cost 15,000. For the two of them, that made 30,000. Seeing Wenren Qingyu's concern, Kuing comforted her. Trust my judgment. I don't think anything is very likely to go wrong. Think about it. This Zheng Yu has an S-grade talent. Geniuses are the least likely to take risks. Only ordinary people with no way out would do something so desperate. The higher the talent, the more they cherish their lives. Besides, where else are you going to find a party this cheap? Wenren Qingyu felt that what Kuing said made some sense, but she still said, but I hope you're right. Let's hope this won't be the last abyss for the two of us. Kuing was not as pessimistic as Wenren Qingyu. She said with a smile, actually, there is danger either way. Going in with a party can be even more dangerous because you don't know whether your teammates are normal people or not. Unless it's a team that has already gone through a period of coordination. Hiring people to carry you is also risky. What if they make a mistake? At least this Zheng Yu still has an S-grade talent as a guarantee. I think he's even more reliable than other people. The reason it is difficult for class holders to level up is mainly because abyss dungeons cannot be exited quickly. After encountering danger, you must disengage from combat before you can leave the abyss. The way to disengage is to disappear from the monster's line of sight, or kill the monster in front of you. Either way is actually very difficult. Under normal circumstances, if you make a mistake, you will be stuck to by abyss monsters and ultimately be unable to leave the abyss, resulting in death. Of course, you can also buy some revival items and teleportation items, but both kinds of items are exorbitantly expensive. Not to mention beginners. Even high-level class holders may not be able to afford them. Therefore, among new class holders, those who can level up quickly fall into only 3 categories. One is the fearless kind, one is the strong kind, and another is the rich kind. As for the rest, just like student Zheng Yu, if they are afraid of dying in the abyss, then they have to find a good team. But good teams don't want them, so they can only stay awkwardly stuck there, waiting hard for a whole day. On their first day, they were probably just planning to try their luck. After a few more days, they would spend money to hire someone to carry them. After all, 15,000 isn't all that expensive. An average family could grit their teeth and afford it. After Kuing and Wenren Qingyu joined, Tao Qian also called over a friend, a tall and sturdy young man. He looked quite a bit older than Tao Qian and Zheng Yu. Tao Qian first introduced him to Zheng Yu. This is my coach. 3 years older than me, named Wu Zheng. He's also a graduate of our school, and like me, he's a monk. Back then, because his family had no money, he stayed at level 1 the whole time. Then he introduced Zheng Yu to Wu Zheng. This is our captain, S-grade talent. Zheng Yu nodded, which counted as a greeting. Wu Zheng, however, had a slight hesitation in his eyes. Especially when he saw the party composition, he almost couldn't hold it together. 1 summoner, 1 monk, and 2 assassins. All of them were level 1. If there were at least a warrior or a priest, he would have thought it was normal. This party composition was far too abnormal. However, getting back on the path of being a class holder had always been his dream. He was just waiting for an opportunity. So he simply gritted his teeth and took a gamble. Even if Zheng Yu messed up, after all these years of training, he was confident he could disengage from combat and leave the abyss. Most importantly, it was cheap. They were only charging 5,000. You should know that after taxes, his monthly salary was only a little over 3,000. At the original price of 15,000 per run, he would have to save for half a year. On the path of being a class holder, even more money would be needed later on. He wasn't a money-making class like a warrior, so the money he had saved over these 3 years had to be used carefully. And so, the team was formed just like that. The captain was an S-rank talent summoner. His good buddy Tao Qian, who trusted Zheng Yu, and 3 penniless random hangers-on who valued money over their lives. That made a full team. I'm going in then, Zheng Yu said in the team voice chat. Tao Qian, monk LV1 go. Kuing, assassin LV1 go for it. Wenren Qingyu, assassin LV11 Wu Zheng, monk LV1 I'm ready, we can enter. Following the prompt on the interface, Zheng Yu selected Cold Street Abyss. 5 beams of light descended, and Zheng Yu, Tao Qian, Kuing, Wenren Qingyu, and Wu Zheng vanished from where they stood. The classmates who saw Zheng Yu disappear started discussing it. Zheng Yu really did find 4 hangers-on. Is he seriously planning to compete for the rankings? I thought he was joking. Let's wait for the result and see whether Zheng Yu comes out carried or slaps all of us in the face. We'll have to wait until tomorrow. The fastest clear time for the Cold Street dungeon right now is 4 hours 41 minutes. Zheng Yu is a summoner, so he'll probably be even slower. I guess 8 hours. It'd already be pretty good if he can clear it. I guess he can't. Then that'll be interesting. The first S-rank talent to die in a level 1 Abyss dungeon. That would be huge news. Can't you hope for something better? No matter what, Zheng Yu is still the only S-rank talent in our Jiangshui city. That's a kind of honor too. It's not my honor, so why should I hope things go well for him? If that S-rank talent were given to me, I'd be better than him. Exactly. A mere summoner. How far can he really go? They wouldn't dare say these things to Zheng Yu's face. But with Zheng Yu not around, they spoke without restraint. While this group ran their mouths out of jealousy, Zheng Yu and the others had already entered the cold street abyss. Whoosh, a gust of cold wind blew past. Gah, it's freezing me to death. Tao Qian shouted as he pulled a coat from his inventory and put it on. Zheng Yu also took out the military coat he had prepared long ago, put on gloves and a thick hat, and wrapped himself up tightly. At that moment, he also looked at the two female assassins who had just joined the team. Ku Ying was petite, and her face looked very youthful. If job advancement weren't only possible after adulthood, he would have thought she was an underage lowly. Wenren Xingyu had the typical look of a girl who had just graduated high school, a youthful teenage girl type. Having two beautiful girls of different types on the team made this oppressive abyss dungeon a little less monotonous. Zheng Yu said to Wu Zong, Ku Ying, and Wenren Xingyu, "You know the rules, right?" Wu Zong nodded. Ku Ying was more talkative. "We know. We'll just watch. You're responsible for killing monsters and clearing the dungeon. We won't pick up anything, wander around, bother you, or steal your kills." Wenren Xingyu, however, said curiously, "We all understand the rules. We're just really curious. How exactly is a summoner like you going to solo an abyss dungeon?" Zheng Yu said with a smile. "How else would I do it? Of course with summoned beasts." As he spoke, Zheng Yu raised his hand, and a contract formation appeared. Roar! A wolf's howl came from the formation. The light of the contract formation faded, and a massive wolf appeared before everyone. The elite Goblin warrior, seated on the giant wolf, bent respectfully toward Zheng Yu in greeting, his movements as precise and refined as a gentleman's. After signaling his greeting to his master, it politely nodded to Tao Qian, Wenren Xingyu, and the others as a form of greeting. Tao Qian said in amazement, "Damn, I actually feel like this goblin has more class than I do." Wu Zong said bluntly, "No need to feel it. It really does have more class than you, like some noble gentleman." What a strange feeling, a polite goblin. Ku Ying looked the Goblin Wolf Rider up and down. Her gaze was slightly impolite, and the giant wolf glared at her. Instead, the goblin stroked the giant wolf's head to calm it down. It felt as if it were saying not to be rude to a lady. The whole thing felt way too incongruous. The key point was that this goblin and giant wolf not only had a gentlemanly air, but also a presence that made it impossible for them to even muster the will to resist. Hiss, 3,900 HP, 120 attack power. Only then did Tao Qian notice the goblin's stats. 3,900 HP was still acceptable. A tank class like the Holy Knight can have over 3,000 HP even at level 1. But the problem was 120 attack power. Tao Qian glanced at his own strength, which was only 13 points. Even with one furious slash, he could only deal about 200 damage, but this goblin had 120 attack power from that stat alone. Only then did Tao Qian say, "Brother Yu, so you really weren't bragging anymore." Just from seeing the Goblin Wolf Rider's stats, he already knew this dungeon run was probably in the bag. Zheng Yu asked in confusion, "So you really thought I was bragging all along? Then why did you still come in with me?" Tao Qian chuckled. "Thinking my buddy is bragging and trusting my buddy are two different things." Crack, crack, crack. Just then, the sound of bits of ice shattering appeared around Cold Street. From both sides of the street, some frozen, stiff dead bodies walked out. Abyss monster, cold corpse, level, LV1, HP, 500, attack power, 20 skill I, bite, skill 2, slow aura crack. As the cold corpses appeared, the surrounding temperature dropped a few more degrees. Tao Qian, Ku Ying, and the other two tacitly retreated behind Zheng Yu, first to avoid stealing Zheng Yu's experience, and second to protect their own safety. Don't be fooled by the cold corpses having 500 HP and 20 attack power. There were a lot of them. In an instant, nearly 7 or 8 cold corpses appeared from both sides of the street. They stepped back to watch the battle. They saw the elite Goblin warrior take out the longbow from its back. Sitting atop the giant wolf, without moving, it drew the bow, aimed, and fired. Whoosh! The arrow struck the nearest cold corpse with pinpoint accuracy. Crack! As if it had hit a block of ice. The arrow made a shattering sound and blew its head clean off. A damage number floated above the cold corpse's head. -693. Killed cold corpse, LV1. Gained 7 experience points. Holy shit. Even the usually silent Wu Zheng, upon seeing that number, couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. It was just way too high. In their eyes, the arrow the goblin fired seemed like a normal attack, but it was actually due to the archery mastery skill. Nearly 700 damage in one hit, instantly killing a cold corpse. This really was a bit absurd. Ku Ying and Wenren Qingyu exchanged a glance. The two understood each other without speaking. They had made the right bet. This summoner was the real carry. And with the speed at which he was one-shotting cold corpses, breaking a record shouldn't be too much to ask. They had also watched videos of other class users clearing the Cold Street Abyss, but none had made one-shot kills look this easy. Cold corpses had a slow aura that could limit a warrior's speed. And with 500 HP, they weren't something a warrior could one-shot with a full combo either. The first wave of 12 cold corpses had to be fought while kiting them around. Taking half an hour for the first wave was already considered fast. But look here, in just a few dozen seconds, the goblin warrior had already fired 4 arrows, instantly killing 4 cold corpses in a row. Taking out 12 cold corpses wouldn't even take 3 minutes. This was way too ridiculous. Were summoners really this fierce? Wenren Qingyu finally let go of her prejudice against summoners, replaced instead by deep confusion. If summoners were this strong, why did everyone say they were weak? Hearing this, Tao Qian at the side, he said proudly, "It's not that summoners are strong, it's that my buddy is strong." At this moment, Zheng was also calculating the damage. Based on the stats and skill coefficients, archery mastery could deal 600 damage with 1 arrow. And 600 was only theoretical damage. The opponent's armor and level also had to be taken into account. The Frost Corpse was also level 1, so there was no level suppression. Its armor would offset part of the damage. But the damage dealt was actually as high as 700 points. Could it be because of headshots? Zheng guessed. Theoretical damage and actual damage were bound to be different. Headshots were very likely the reason for the increased damage. Because the Frost Corpses moved so slowly, the Goblin Warrior could almost land a headshot with every arrow, 1 Frost Corpse per shot. Minus 666. Killed Frost Corpse, LV1. Gained 8 EXP. Minus 711. Killed Frost Corpse, LV1. Gained 9 EXP. Minus 705. Killed Frost Corpse, LV1. Gained 8 EXP. Minus 619. Killed Frost Corpse, LV1. Gained 7 EXP. Minus 659. Killed. The Frost Corpses could not even get close to the goblin before they were shot dead by a continuous barrage of arrows. Minus 782. The last arrow struck right between the eyebrows. Killed Frost Corpse, LV1. Gained 8 EXP. Congratulations. Your level has increased. Level, LV1 LV.2, 200 EXP needed for the next level. HP, 40510 mana, 16070 intelligence, 2326 strength, 1314 leveled up. Zheng was delighted. Leveling up meant the HP cap increased. As long as he saved up a bit more, he could continue upgrading his summoned beast talent. The Frost Street Abyss was a very large area, and they needed to pass through the frozen streets, then go deeper into the street to find the boss. Their current location was the entrance to Frost Street. After killing 8 Frost Corpses, Zheng followed the Abyss guide and waited a few minutes at the first intersection. According to the guide, there was a level 4 Frost Corpse inside one of the shops here, and if they did not wait for it to come out and just pass by directly, they would be attacked from both sides by the Abyss monsters ahead and the level 4 Frost Corpse here. The Frost Street Guide was required study material for every student in Jiangshui City. For Zheng, the Frost Street Guide was engraved in the minds of exam track students almost as deeply as the difficult road to Shu. Crack, crack, sure enough, 2 minutes later, the ground began to freeze over. A huge Frost Corpse walked out of a shop. Abyss Monster, Frost Corpse level, LV4 HP, 2000 attack, 80 skill I, Bite skill 2, Slow Aura skill 3, Ice Axe Throw Roar. The level 4 Frost Corpse let out a low growl, warning the Goblin Wolf Rider that had stepped into its territory. Rattle. Nearby shops also began making strange noises, and nearly a dozen Frost Corpses emerged from the dark corners. Damn, so many, Tao Qian exclaimed in shock. Beside him, Wu Zheng also said, "No wonder so many teams refused to take me back then. Turns out I really couldn't be of much use." Whether it was Tao Qian or Wu Zheng, who was 3 years older than them, this was their first time entering the Abyss. Previously, they had only learned about the Abyss through videos and online images. They had thought those teams that refused to take them along were just being overly cautious. And those professionals who died in the abyss were simply too clumsy. But after experiencing it firsthand, they finally understood the difficulty of the abyss. In other words, without Zheng, they probably would not even have made it past the first wave of frost corpses, let alone this level 4 frost corpse with 2000 HP before them. Tao Qian, Wu Zhong, Ku Ying, and Wenren Xingyu hurriedly withdrew from the battlefield, staying far away from that level 4 frost corpse. I finally understand now why no one believed Zheng when he wanted to compete for the rankings. This level 4 frost corpse alone is not something us level 1 small fry can defeat. Tao Qian looked at the huge level 4 frost corpse, radiating cold all over its body, and said with lingering fear, "Good thing we retreated quickly." Wu Zhong also nodded and said, "That's only because I trust you. If I'd known earlier that you weren't very confident either, there was no way I would have followed you in." As he spoke, Wu Zhong gave a simple chuckle. "Still, it's a good thing I came along. The key is, who would have thought a summoner could be this strong?" Wu Zhong wore an expression like he'd struck gold. Although the level 4 frost corpse was strong, the one facing it was a Goblin Wolf Rider that could casually deal over 700 damage in a single hit. Up to now, the Goblin Wolf Rider had barely moved at all, just standing in place, shooting arrows, and already a large swath of frost corpses had died. So fierce. Wenren Xingyu, who had always been prejudiced against summoner Zheng, also exclaimed in admiration. Looking at the level 4 frost corpse's stats, she asked in confusion, "I'm really starting to doubt whether those warriors outside who lead people can actually defeat this frost corpse." The one who answered her question was Zheng, sitting off to the side. "That's just force slander. Although this frost corpse looks fierce, in reality, with 80 attack power, even a skill can only deal 400 or 500 damage. Those warriors outside who charge to carry newcomers aren't alone either. Usually there are 2 or more warriors, plus a paladin or priest for support. They may not be able to one-shot frost corpses, but their agility is low. So if they kite them while fighting, it's not difficult." Faced with Zheng Yu's detailed explanation, Wenren Xingyu, standing to the side, only wanted to know one thing. "Why are you here too?" Zheng Yu shrugged. "Can I be here?" Wenren Xingyu said, "You can, but it's weird. It always feels like the one carrying us is that Goblin Wolf Rider, not you." They were far away from the battle area, honestly just being dead weight. They hadn't expected that the powerhouse responsible for carrying them would also be here, and relaxing even more comfortably than they were. He was literally lying down. They had no idea where he got a lounge chair from. Zheng Yu lay on the lounge chair and said with a smile, "Then you got it right. The one carrying you is this Goblin Wolf Rider. I'm a summoner, after all. Maybe because they've never had contact with a summoner before. This feeling of getting carried by a summoned beast together with the powerhouse feels very novel." Tao Qian stared at Zheng Yu's lounge chair and asked, "Where did you get the lounge chair?" "Brought it from home. My item space has plenty of room anyway." "You only brought one." "Just one, but I have another one at home. I'll bring it for you next time." "All right, that lounge chair looks pretty comfortable." "Not bad. I'm planning to bring the beanbag chair from my house next time too. By the way, want some coffee? You have hot water?" I filled a thermos in advance. Didn't they say Cold Street Abyss is pretty cold? I figured bringing hot water was necessary. You really know how to enjoy yourself. Watching Tao Qian and Zheng Yu say things that sounded quite normal, but in the current situation were completely abnormal, the other three wore strange expressions. "This is the Abyss. Why does it feel like you two came here on vacation? You even brought tea?" Zheng Yu looked up and asked, "Do you want some hot tea?" Wu Zhong, Ku Ying, Wenren Xingyu. "Sure." And so, a very strange scene appeared in Cold Street Abyss. Up front, the Goblin Wolf Rider was shooting down frost corpses one arrow at a time, fighting at full intensity. In the back, a group of young men and women held teapots, chatting and laughing. This was even more incongruous than a gentlemanly goblin. Zheng Yu sat there drinking tea while his experience shot up rapidly. -694. Killed frost corpse, LV1. Gained 9 experience points. -777. Killed frost corpse, LV1. Gained 8 experience points. -782. Kill cold corpse, LV1. Gained 9 experience points. After leveling up, the goblin's precision archery damage also increased. It killed all of the nearest cold corpses. That level 4 cold corpse finally couldn't sit still anymore and hurled a spinning ice axe at the goblin. Whoosh! The ice axe missed. It turned out the goblin had already put away the bow and arrows in its hands, then suddenly leaped up, dodging the ice axe attack and landing right in front of the level 4 cold corpse. Gripping the hammer in its hand, It smashed viciously toward the level 4 cold corpse's head. Bang! Minus 890. A single leaping hammer strike directly took away more than half of the cold corpse's HP. The skill attack multiplier of leaping hammer strike was the same as archery shot, but this time the hit was even more precise, landing squarely on the head. And the actual damage of melee attacks was indeed somewhat higher than ranged attacks. Stun. A precise hit to the head accurately triggered stun. The cold corpse was already very slow, and this strike directly left the level 4 cold corpse rooted in place. The goblin warrior gripped the heavy hammer, the muscles in its right arm bulging. Taking advantage of the cold corpse's stun time. Charge up. The heavy hammer struck. Bang. Minus 1,750. One-hit kill. Excess damage. The level 4 cold corpse's entire body was smashed into 2 pieces. Kill cold corpse, LV4. Gained 72 experience points. Its experience jumped by a large chunk. Probably one more wave of abyssal cold corpse monsters, and it would reach level 3. Leveling in the early stage was still very fast. Basically, reaching level 4 after clearing one simple dungeon wasn't a problem. Zheng Yu's way of leveling while carrying freeloaders was even faster. Holy shit. 1,750 damage. Tao Qian spilled half the hot tea in his hand. Wasn't this goblin just a pure beginner summon? How was it this overpowered? Tao Qian had still been able to stay seated before, but when he saw the Goblin Wolf cavalry killing with one hammer blow per strike, dealing a total of nearly 3,000 damage, he really couldn't keep it together anymore. This could probably directly one-shot a paladin. Kuing also said in surprise. No need to guess. Although a level 1 paladin can reach 3,000 HP, the paladin would probably be shot dead by Brother Yu's goblin before even getting close. Faced with their shock, Zheng Yu felt it was just okay. After all, this was a fully charged heavy blow. If the damage wasn't high, it really wouldn't be worthy of that 15% stun chance. The warrior smash skill, combined with the stun effect of leaping hammer strike, was just enough to fully charge it. A 12x multiplier heavy smash, plus all kinds of stat bonuses. Dealing this kind of damage was also within Zheng Yu's expectations. Next, the Goblin Wolf cavalry killed off the remaining cold corpses. A total of 14 level 1 cold corpses yielded 112 experience points. One level 4 cold corpse gave 72 experience points. Just a tiny bit more to level up. The only pity was that the level 4 cold corpse didn't drop any equipment. Minus 778. Kill cold corpse, LV1. Gain 8 experience points. Congratulations. Your level has increased. Level, LV2 LV.3, 349 experience points needed for the next level. HP, 510640. Mana, 1700. Intelligence, 2631. Strength, 1415. After entering Cold Street again, they encountered another wave of level 1 cold corpses and killed them easily, leveling up. The Goblin Wolf cavalry's level also rose to 3. Its HP increased to 4,500, and its attack power also increased along with Zheng Yu's intelligence stat, reaching 160 points. The current Goblin Wolf cavalry could shoot 900 damage with a single arrow. Under the effect of precision archery, almost the moment a cold corpse showed its head, it would be instantly killed. They pushed through all the way, moving very quickly. It was just that the experience given was a bit low. Each cold corpse only gave 7 to 8 experience points. Occasionally they encountered level 3 or level 4 cold corpses, but those were very rare cases. Level 3 frost corpses grant an additional 30 to 40 experience points. Level 4 frost corpses grant an additional 70 to 80 experience points. After dealing with several waves of frost corpses, in less than 1 hour, they had already pushed into the depths of Cold Street, which was where the final boss of Cold Street spawned. If not for the fact that the Cold Street map was huge, that traversing the map wasted time, and that the frost corpses moved slowly and had to be waited on to respawn, they probably could have gone even faster. Along the way, Zheng Yu and the others moved in stops and starts, with the Goblin Wolf Riders holding the front line and taking out each small frost corpse with a single arrow. No matter how many frost corpses respawned, they simply couldn't reach them. After all, the frost corpses were barely faster than walking. This is the final location. Looking at the center of the park at the end of Cold Street, Tao Qian said to Zheng Yu. Zheng Yu nodded and said to them with a serious expression, "Begin the operation." Yes, they saw Wu Zhong take a grill out of his inventory and skillfully set it up, while Tao Qian started the fire and handled the charcoal, asking uneasily, "Old Wu, do you really know how to do barbecue?" "Don't worry, before I became a coach, I worked barbecue for 3 months. Then that's settled, I'll leave it to you." Ku Ying and Wenren Qingyu weren't idle either and began setting out small tables. Wenren Qingyu was in charge of making tea, while Ku Ying handled the snacks and arranged the plates. As for Zheng Yu, he pulled out a lounge chair and lay down comfortably. Although the wind on Cold Street was chilly, the heater placed beside Zheng Yu worked perfectly to ward off the cold. While tending the charcoal, Tao Qian said, "I've observed this area. No frost corpses will respawn here, so we're absolutely safe." They were positioned on the rooftop of a small Western-style house beside Central Park. Zheng Yu had brought not only tea, but also instant noodles, a grill, snacks, and even meat skewers. The fastest a single abyss run could take was nearly 3 hours. Since a summoner didn't need to fight personally, was he supposed to just sit there freezing? So Zheng Yu had practically emptied his family's refrigerator and even borrowed the barbecue grill and heater that the old man downstairs wasn't using for the time being. The whole point was top-tier enjoyment. While making tea, Wenren Qingyu whispered to Ku Ying, "Is it really okay for us to do this?" Ku Ying rolled her eyes. "Okay or not okay for whom? Do you think it's disrespectful to the frost corpses? Or do you think barbecue doesn't taste good?" Wenren Qingyu was silent for a long while before saying, "It just all feels so unreal." On this point, Ku Ying agreed. "More than unreal. I never even dreamed I'd clear an abyss this way." Wu Zhong also chimed in. "If anyone says summoners are weak again in the future, I'll be the first to object. Haven't I already told you? The strong one is Zheng Yu, not summoners." Tao Qian joined the conversation as well. Wu Zhong shook his head. "No, what I mean is, no matter how strong a warrior is, he still can't eat barbecue while clearing an abyss. Have a warrior try clearing it while lying down? Even if martial god Nan Muyun came, seeing this scene, he'd have to say, 'Holy shit.'" Tao Qian nodded. Crude words, but true enough. Ku Ying, indeed. Wenren Qingyu. "Brother Wu, once it's grilled, wait for me to take a photo. I'll post it on moments after we leave the dungeon." Zheng Yu was not far away and could hear their conversation as well. He turned to Wenren Qingyu and said, "Send me a copy after you take it. I'll post it too." "Sure thing. Come on. Great God, look over here." Wenren Qingyu first snapped a photo of Zheng Yu. In the photo, Zheng Yu was lying in the lounge chair, drinking hot coffee, looking utterly content. Wenren Qingyu added the caption below, "Abyss, coffee, barbecue, frost corpses, and great god Zheng Yu." Before Tao Qian had even finished getting the charcoal fire going, a commotion had already broken out downstairs. Crack, crack, crack. The continuous sound of ice forming came from the forest deep within the park. A clear layer of reflective ice crystals covered the ground. This was the first wave. Zheng Yu sipped hot coffee as he watched the situation below in the park. It wasn't that a summoner required no operation at all, just that it was simple. He only needed to do 2 things. First, issue commands to the summons. Second, find a place to hide and protect the summoner's own safety. As for the rest, just leave it to the summons. A class with unbelievably simple controls. Bang! The first to rush out was a level 5 frost corpse. A level 5 frost corpse had 2,500 HP. Its body was huge, and the slowing aura had a very wide range. Even Goblin Wolf cavalry more than 100 meters away from the level 5 frost corpse would be slowed. Then, the elite Goblin warrior drew his bow and fired an arrow. Whoosh! An arrow pierced the frost corpse right between the eyebrows. It was a headshot, but it didn't kill it outright. -928. A high damage number of nearly 1,000 appeared, instantly taking off more than a third of the frost corpse's HP. Whoosh! Precision archery had no skill CD. As long as there was stamina, it could keep firing continuously. The firing speed was related to the goblin's agility. The second arrow followed right after. -901. The damage of level 3 archery could deal a minimum theoretical value of 848 damage. Adding the damage from the precise headshot, then subtracting the resistance of the frost corpse's ice armor. Each hit could deal more than 900 damage. Whoosh! Another arrow. -910. 3 arrows killed a level 5 frost corpse. Killed frost corpse, LV5, gained 105 experience points. So fierce. Wu Zhong, who was in charge of grilling meat nearby, couldn't help but exclaim when he saw this scene. Wu Zhong had been studying the Cold Street Abyss longer than Zheng Yu and Tao Qian. After all, in the entire Jiangshui city, there was only one level 1 abyss, the Cold Street Abyss. For the past 3 years, he had read many guides for the Cold Street Abyss.